Welcome to Subramani. To be an investor is not very easy, especially if you are an Indian investor who's investing for the first time. If your parents have always invested only in bank fixed deposits and post office schemes, etc., investing in equities is not going to be easy. So first of all, you have to break the mold thing. Oh, it's okay to invest, right? Second, you have to involve the whole family, telling your parents, look, here there is something called standard deviation. So returns could be high 1 year and returns could be bad over the next year, but over a 7-8 year period, historically equities have performed better than debt instruments, simply because of various reasons. You don't have to get into the reasons, but you have to tell them that yes, there can be a 20% fall, 10% fall, even a 50% fall, and you're very, very lucky if that 50% falls in the early part of your investing life, simply because you don't have too much at stake. It's better to have a 50% fall in your portfolio as a 30-year-old than in your portfolio as a 50-year-old. But also remember, as a 50-year-old, you have perhaps learned more about investing than you knew at 30. At 30, you might panic. Your parents might push you into a greater state of panic. So all that could happen. So be careful about what you learn from history also. But speaking about history, you have to also know from where progress will come, because it's easy to get carried away in today's cacophony and say, oh, I think you have to look at technology, you have to see where life is going, you have to see what kind of products people are buying. So therefore, I think a lot of money is going to be made on AI, right? Artificial intelligence. Maybe yes, but maybe no. We don't know which company to invest because AI is going to do well. We have no clue which company to invest because electric vehicles are supposed to do well. We have no clue where to invest in power companies because power companies are supposed to do well. So what you can do is put money in a power fund, put money in an EV fund, put money there. It reduces the chances of losing too much money. You might still lose, but you may not lose too much money, right? So these are some of the things that you can do. But also look at where progress came from. So I think Morgan Housel or Jason Zweig were speaking about progress. Say for about 1400 years there was nothing great. 1 AD or 1400 AD there was not much change, and after that lot of progress happened and lot of investments happened, lot of growth happened, and so I think Morgan Housel says growth is a new phenomena. It's not as though people always wanted growth. So he says growth happened in the 19th century, but I think I've read Bernstein talk about, I think Bernstein has written a book about being plentiful, where he talks about why progress happened in the 19th century. He says it's simply because, let me read from what he says. He says secure property rights. Property rights were secured. Earlier you were worried that some king or some sheriff or somebody could just take away all your things simply because of rights. So the property rights were not too great in Europe. Largely when we are talking about Bernstein, we talk about what he thinks happened in Europe. He did not look east. He had no clue that there was a country called India which had some of these property rights maybe 4,000 years ago. But anyway, he says first of all there were property rights, and second he's saying, oh, there was a scientific view of the world. Before that there was not much science in Europe. They were more savages. In fact, there is enough evidence to show that Europeans got civilized after they went to Africa and Asia, but that's for a different video altogether, not my cup of tea or writing about geopolitics and that part of the world history, right? Widely capable, widely available and open sources of funding. So I think again Bernstein talks about 16th century when money was available. You could go raise money to go take a ship and go around the world, right? That is how Columbus reached USA, called it India, and they are still called Red Indians. Right, some of the people there are still called Red Indians. And then it said rapid communication and cheap transport, right? So communication, I think telegraph came, electricity came. Electricity was a huge thing. transportation, you could take a ship and go. Ship was fast. Of course, the steam engine came. All this happened. But typical Bernstein or typical white culture, they have not written about the fact that that was a time when, because of all this, the Europeans came and looted Asia and Europe. So lot of the progress which happened in Europe was because of looting of Africa and Asia. They came, they plundered, they could create employment here for people. The best of the country were chosen to come here and work, and people would not even want to come. So some of the guys who came were they were actually the white savages which came here and called Indian savages. They wanted to create more their own kind. They wanted to spread Christianity. They created something called the Aryan invasion theory, which many of our political parties need for their survival. So that apart, so largely, yes, all this progress happened. Transportation was good, telegram. I think then of course electricity, all this steam engine, all these things came. Yes, innovation helped. The innovation helped them reach other countries where they could loot and plunder. Also, America's progress came from controlling the world organizations, which means they could say, oh, India want to build a dam, we will help you, but you have to buy cement from India. Honestly, Hirakud Dam and all was built with US aid. I don't know whether we ended up buying cement from there. But yes, all these conditions they could put. So the rich European and American companies got richer by a lot of plunder. I'm not saying plunder was the only thing they did. Of course, they did a lot of innovative work. There was science, there was technology, there is application, right? So to think that we can, India can progress by copying Europe or by copying US, we are wrong. We don't have the world markets access the way Europe had to India or US had to the world, or how China had to US, because US was run by lefties who said, oh, let's outsource all manufacturing to China. And during COVID, they realized that China could literally hold them by their throat and neck and shake them up, right? So now things have changed. So where will progress come from going forward? Yes, of course, it will come from EV. Of course, it will come from AI. But we don't know where to put the money because of this. So if you are specifically, you have knowledge of which companies to invest, that's fantastic. If you don't have that, you could invest in some of these funds which have been created specifically for all this. And if you are saying, no, it's too much trouble, you can put money in two funds. One is a world index fund and one is an India specific index fund. Of course, we are worried about taxation and say, oh, therefore, where do I put my debt? I think you're better off putting it in balance advantage fund, equity savings fund, etc. simply because they will get you better rates of taxation instead of putting 50 rupees in equity and 50 rupees in debt fund. You're much better off putting in balance advantage fund or asset allocation fund. I mean, I never expected my asset allocator to do so well. Largely it has done well because gold has done very well and equity has not fallen, right? And debt has also not fallen. So these multi-asset funds have done very well, but please remember they have also gone through they've gone through a very huge bull phase. So be careful about that also. So largely saying from where will progress come is difficult for all of us to know. So don't bother too much about from where it will come, as long as you're optimistic and you're involving the family. I repeat this, and I don't think any other YouTuber or anybody says this. Involve your family. Tell your parents that you're investing in equity and equity will give good return. Tell your wife, tell your children that you're investing to get good returns, and once in a while when you get good returns, when you get fantastic returns, take some money out, go and enjoy. We eat in a 5-star hotel, because things you can always buy, but these experiences which your daughter will remember when she's 40 years of age and she'll say, when I was 8 years old, my father took me to this hotel. Those are remembrances, etc. Those are all important, right? So don't worry from where the progress will come. Your progress will come from investing in equities in a small way for a long run. So you need to do all these things, right? Learn about history, understand that history may not repeat itself, understand the long runway which Europe and US got while investing. We in India don't have all that. So with all these constraints, with understanding that the books that you read are telling you only half the story, right? Bernstein does not talk about Europe coming and plundering India. He says, oh, Europe did all this and Europe progressed. Yes, Europe progressed, but Europe's progress was funded by Asia and Africa. Today that luxury is not available to UK. What UK did to the world, but UK handed over the mandate reasonably peacefully to US. US is not going to hand it over so simply, right? It will not give up its hegemony so easily. So they will want dollar to be dominant, and there is tremendous pressure to kill the dollar also. It's not, I'm not even thinking that dollar will die during my lifetime, but I'm saying there is anti-dollar pressure also, right? So with all these things happening, sit, learn. It's not easy. It's not going to be easy. I have no clue where to invest except looking at the past and saying, oh, this company has done well for me, so I'll buy more of those same share, which is a stupid way of buying. You're much better off in the index, because it is really taxing to track companies, industries, geographies, geopolitical reasons. It's not easy. So take your pick, but still keep reading, make notes, understand what you're doing. Thank you.